So, Lazy Masquerade, disturbing things I found on the internet, volume 11. Let's go. The thumbnail is already very creepy. You know what, I'll skip the intro. Here we go. Women's Alliance XYZ.
Bait and switch media. Whether you're familiar with the term or not, if you grew up in the golden age of the internet, then chances are you've fallen victim to it more than once. It's that classic trick of a link, video or website, promising one thing, and then delivering something else entirely. Usually something annoying, disgusting, disturbing, or even virus infested.
Gonna give you up, gonna get you down.
On the lighter end of the spectrum, we're talking things like rickrolling.
Yes.
The next tier up would be those seemingly innocent videos and flash games that gave us all our first heart attack.
I remember like the car driving one, like the first time I saw it was in computer class, maybe 2008, 2009 or something. And there was one kid who knew about it, and he would make all the kids watch it. So like, you know, it's the video of like the car is rolling down, it's so peaceful, and suddenly there's like a scary woman screaming in your face. And I remember it actually scared me, that video. And then later when I got onto the internet myself, like it was all over Facebook. I used to use Facebook back in those days. And, you know, like it was often basically like a joke to just put it in the middle of like a normal video. Even on YouTube at this time. Like Recall was already pretty popular, but I think like that woman after the car video was like super classic. Yeah. Such a scary one.
The KFC commercials, or the maze game for instance.
Yeah, this one too.
The next level above that would be the so-called unholy trinity of the internet. Goatsy, Tub Goal, and Lemon Party. But at the very top of that totem pole of depravity were websites like women'salliance.xyz.
Oh boy.
Created in October 2020 by notorious internet sadist Obok Meatgod, women'salliance.xyz disguised itself as a feminist blogging community with a landing page which read as follows. This website contains stories of female empowerment. Some of these stories may upset or offend sensitive users. This site is unsuitable for children.
It's gonna be the exact opposite.
The moment users entered the site, their screens would forcibly switch to full screen mode. What followed was a grotesque video montage of women being tortured, mutilated, injected with various diseases, and literally slaughtered.
Yeah, I'm sure it's still the kind of thing that people do these days, but again, back like in 2010, 12, around that time, and especially on Facebook, people did that a lot. I remember like I used to, you know, be friend on Facebook with like a ton of random people from around the world, just because we had anime picture, and you know, people with anime picture used to add everybody as friend, and a lot of people used to do that. Link Never Gonna Give You Up, link that video I talked about, link Goatsy, and stuff like that. It was such an era of people like trying to really shock other people. I'm sure it's still done to this day. Maybe I'm just not in the right place to see it happen, but it really wasn't fun. I mean, I think a lot of people miracles saw some shit you didn't want to see. Yeah. I don't know. It's not great. It's not great.
Some of the most graphic scenes, maggots could be seen crawling out of their orifices. All while Roy Orbison's Oh Pretty Woman rang out on full blast in the background. A song no doubt chosen to mock the victims featured in the clips. Any attempt to leave the site would only reset the full screen function, and pressing any key on the keyboard would trigger a fake prompt asking if the user really wanted to leave the site.
I remember that too. There used to be a saying. I haven't seen that in a long time, but there used to be sites like that. That would literally lock you and you would have to restart your computer, yeah. And then when it restarts, you have to like be super scared that it would open the same page, so you would like try to kill processes so nothing would reopen, otherwise you would be locked again.
Clicking OK would result in a barrage of alert boxes containing misogynistic threats backed by high-pitched static. I've even read reports that the site automatically turned each visitor's computer volume up to max, though I'm not actually sure if that's possible for websites to do these days. Still, if it did, then RIP to all the headphone users, I guess. Though not as popular as Obok's other shock site, Kekma, which honestly could be its own entry in a future video, women'salliance.xyz still garnered plenty of traffic through word of mouth, particularly on Discord servers, where morbid pranksters spammed the link and baited many unsuspecting victims. In Obok's words, he created women'salliance.xyz due to the lack of shock sites in the modern internet era. He's since defended his creation, saying he gave all of his visitors a chance to turn back before clicking enter, and that although he could have infected their devices with malware, he chose not to.
What a good guy. What a good guy. Why are you even trying to defend yourself? I mean, if you make a site like that because there's not enough shock stuff, like, just admit that you're a piece of shit and just go with it.
Most who fell for his trap are understandably less than forgiving though, given that many of those video clips remain seared into their minds to this day.
Yeah.
Women'sAlliance.xyz has since been taken down. Though archive links to it do still exist, I strongly advise you don't go searching for them.
Hell no.
Trust me, some things are better left unseen.
I don't have the stomach for it these days. When I was young, I talked about it before, but there was a subreddit called 50/50, and I think it's still alive. Where the idea is that you have a link, and the link is 50% chance of being something good or bad. Most often it's like either like naked woman or like, yeah, like some really gore stuff. And it used to be way more popular back in the day, and like, you know, kids would often talk about it and recommend it. So I used to be on that site. It was Reddit. And I saw way too many gore videos that it's like the kind of thing that doesn't go away, this kind of image. So yeah. 50/50, yeah, you've been there too. Yeah, so I never, you know, even when curiosity takes you, when, you know, videos like this tell, you know, you should never look at it. Like, often our human instinct is to want to look at it because, you know, we're like, okay, I'm strong enough to look at it, it's fine. Frankly, I wouldn't recommend it. Like, a lot of the stuff I saw when I was younger, like, I can never forget those images, and they're just too fucked up. Yeah, I don't recommend it. For real. Don't ever wanna go there, yeah? You shouldn't.
It was the 16th of January, 2022, and family man Hubert Washam had just left his Alabama home to grab a bite to eat. It had been
Sweet
a perfectly
Alabama.
normal day up until that point, with Hubert having spent most of it at his 8-mile residence with his family. But no more than 20 minutes after stepping out of his front door, Hubert received a frantic call from his autistic son, Desmond.
Dad, Damien killed Mummy.
Hubert's heart immediately sank. Damien was Hubert's younger son, a 23-year-old man who, in recent weeks, had begun acting unusually, ranting about reptilian overlords, preaching about the Egyptian underworld, staring at the sun to absorb its energy, and sending links to his sisters in an attempt to convince them of his newfound beliefs. It was then that Hubert remembered an item that Damien had recently purchased.
Or he went insane,
a
maybe?
samurai sword. In a state of pure panic, Hubert rushed back to the small family home and found his wife of 30 years, Helen Nettles Washam, unresponsive on the floor. There were 19 slashes to her head, neck, and arms. Realizing that she was already gone, Hubert then ran upstairs to check on the rest of his family. His other son, Desmond, had been lacerated, and his brother-in-law, George, was missing half of his face.
Damn.
Both were thankfully still alive, and they explained how Damien had attacked them with a katana before fleeing to an abandoned house nearby. After the police were alerted to his location, Damien took off in his 2000 Honda Accord, sword in hand, and led deputies on a chase that ended when spike strips immobilized his vehicle. He was swiftly apprehended and charged with his mother's slaying, but was later found not guilty by reason of insanity.
Insanity, yeah.
Up until that point, Damien had no prior run-ins with the law, and his social media pages showed no signs of him losing his grip on reality. Those who knew him best spoke of how normal and well-adjusted he was.
Literally what I was talking about, like, in all those videos, yeah. Every time there's any crime or any crazy guy or serial killer or anything, it's always the same thing. Like, it's so rare for any interview to actually be, yeah, he seemed weird. Most of the time people say, yeah, he seemed like a nice guy. We could never see this coming. Which again shows how much, even though there's always like terrible news stories and people say, you know, everybody's always on edge and scared of others, is it really true? Because every story like that, everybody seems to think nothing was wrong with the guy, when clearly there must have been a lot wrong, like every time.
But according to his father, between 4 and 6 weeks before the tragedy unfolded, Damien had fallen down a dark rabbit hole, having apparently been brainwashed by a mysterious online group that he had encountered in a Call of Duty lobby.
Okay.
He had started listening to some crazy group of people, like a cult or something.
Hubert told the media.
We'd never had any problems out of him. And then all of a sudden, he started acting paranoid.
A year and a half before Damien took his mother's life, a channel called the University of Cosmic Intelligence began uploading videos to YouTube. The man behind the account was Rashad Jamal White, an Atlanta-based rapper with convictions for battery, strangulation, and suffocation. He'd also previously been charged in connection with a murder, but wasn't convicted. By late 2020, Rashad had turned over a new leaf and decided that rather than take from society, he was going to give back to it. And what he had to offer was his godly wisdom. Going by his New Age name, Divine Insight, the self-proclaimed prophet used his platform to wax lyrical about mysticism and conspiracy theories, warning his followers of government plots to control them. Among other things, Rashad alleges that NBA players are synthetic robots.
It's just like a chain of mental illness, basically.
To alternate dimensions.
And it just spreads to people.
Human bodies are avatars injected with nanobot technology at birth. That birds are actually drones used to spy on citizens. That the Mississippi River is actually the Nile. That ancient Egyptian gods were actually aliens who once walked the earth.
Yes.
That the sun is the source of all human energy. And that clouds are government tools used to block its power, keeping people weak and obedient. The crux of Rashad's philosophy, however, hinges on race. Specifically, that Caucasians are shape-shifting reptilians, while Black and Latino people are spiritually enlightened gods and goddesses chosen by divine forces.
I'm a reptilian.
In the past, he's preached about how their blue-skinned ancestors had once wielded immense spiritual power before, quote, losing their frequency and being subjugated.
Okay.
Despite being as convincing as a Zuckerberg smile, the teachings of cosmic intelligence struck a chord with many people, particularly the disenfranchised, marginalized, and frankly gullible.
It's every time like that with cult, right? Like, no matter how bullshit, insane, you know, the story is, people fall into the cult every time because they have no one to stop them from it, because they have mental illness, because they're drug addicts, etc. Like, it's insane every time. Like, no matter how, like, nonsensical whatever teaching, logic, or story of the cult is, people fall into it, and it always ends with like bad stuff happening every time. Every story like this.
In the modern era, lacking a sense of meaning and purpose in life, Rashad was able to amass a worryingly large fanbase, with over 200,000 people subscribing to his YouTube channel, 150,000 to his TikTok, and 105,000 to his Instagram page. Visiting the group's website, Rashad claims to have founded his online university to enlighten and illuminate the minds of carbonated beings. If we look a little deeper beneath the surface, it becomes quite apparent that cosmic intelligence is just like every other cult. In other words, a get-rich-quick scheme masquerading as a spiritual movement. The guru's most
gold package, $33. Best for those who can't afford to pay a flat rate. 104, best for those looking to play a flat rate money saver. Okay, and 333, best seller cheapest package money saver. Okay.
Key knowledge is predictably locked behind a paywall. If you want access to Rashad's daily live lectures, for example, then you'll need to purchase one of his university's very reasonably priced subscription packages. But why waste your time with the gold and blue packages when you could go straight to violet? As he's keen to tell you, it's the best seller, the cheapest package, and a money saver. For the low price of $333.33, you not only get a year's access to live lectures, but also unlock all sorts of exciting goodies, like a 9% coupon off Rashad's merch store.
9%.
After all, who wouldn't want to buy one of these amazing artifacts, especially with such an attractive refund policy?
All sales are final. Allow 3 to 9 weeks for you to order to arrive. Due to high demand, product can take between 3 to 9 weeks to arrive. When it comes to crystal order, if product arrive broke or defunct, it is not our fault. Crystals are very fragile, and this is the risk you take when ordering it. It ain't my fault. It takes like months to come, and then it's broken, and it's not their fault, okay? Great.
Despite being an obvious scam, the University of Cosmic Intelligence's subscriber count has continued to grow. Rashad's followers aren't simply fans though. Many are disciples, devout believers who refer to him as God and spend thousands of dollars to finance his lifestyle. For example, prior to slaying his mother, Damien Washam had reportedly spent $5,000 on crystals from his merch store. But just as his popularity...
Man. Again, I know it's mental illness, but how does that even happen? Like, just a normal teen playing Call of Duty, and some guy in fucking Call of Duty lobby convinces you to join an insane, nonsensical cult, pay thousands of dollars, and then kill your family? How can someone's mind be so, open to like this kind of madness and suggestion is beyond me.
And bank balance began to skyrocket. Rashad was arrested yet again, this time for SAing the child of his ex-girlfriend, Darshell Smith. He was convicted in
Classic
2023,
cult.
and a Georgia judge handed him an 18-year prison sentence with an additional 22 years probation. For some, this marked the end of their faith in him, but for others, it only cemented their loyalty. An online petition titled Justice for Rashad Jamal quickly gathered thousands of signatures, with his followers stating that the legal case against him was a deliberate effort to suppress his spiritual power.
Oh my
Two members who signed the petition were...
I mean, I'm gonna say one of my extreme statements as always, but anybody who signed that petition should also go to jail and never be let out because they are insane, and there is no saving them. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Yasmin Hyder and Crystal Pinkins, an unlikely duo who had met through cosmic intelligence. Prior to becoming members, Yasmin, then 20, was a former college student in Oklahoma, and Crystal, 36, a certified health aide in Tennessee. Both came from tight-knit families who described them as ordinary and well-adjusted women. That is, before they began engaging with cosmic intelligence posts on...
Yeah, his videos actually get more views than you'd ever expect, right? Like, couple, dozens of thousand, like 40,000, 20,000, 40,000, yeah. Like, for a literal cult, this is a lot, right?
Social media sites. By August 2022, the pair had seemingly abandoned their past lives and took to traveling around the country together, living off-grid in makeshift campsites as per Rashad's teachings, free from government surveillance and isolated from their support networks. On August 14th of that same year, the duo found themselves completely out of money, having given most of what they had to Rashad. But that mattered not, for as he had taught them, the laws of the US don't apply to them, and so they could simply take whatever they wanted. As such, Yasmin and Crystal formulated a plan, one that would have dire consequences.
Did they also kill someone?
That afternoon, Michaela Paulus and her boyfriend Adam Simji, both students at the University of Central Florida, were driving through Talladega National Forest, a final getaway before the start of the fall semester. As they made their way along a particularly quiet stretch of road, they came upon a young woman, flagging them down for assistance. That woman was Yasmin Hyder. Posing as a stranded motorist, Yasmin asked the young couple for help jump-starting her vehicle. Adam and Michaela decided to be good Samaritans and spent an hour trying to get Yasmin's car started, searching for YouTube tutorials and even calling Adam's mechanic father to figure out a possible solution. After checking the coast was clear, Yasmin pulled a firearm on the unsuspecting couple and demanded that they hand over their keys, cell phones, and bank cards. Not wanting any trouble, Michaela and Adam complied. But when Yasmin ordered them to walk into the woods, it became disturbingly apparent that they were about to be executed. In an effort to protect his girlfriend, Adam drew his concealed firearm and fired 4 shots at Yasmin, hitting her 3 times in the chest and once in the leg. Yasmin returned fire, hitting Adam once in the back. Michaela was a nursing student, and she desperately tried to save Adam, while Yasmin called out to her accomplice, Crystal, who'd been watching everything from the tree line.
Oh shit.
But rather than help, Crystal abandoned her comrade and fled deeper into the woods.
Okay.
Adam lived for another 20 minutes after being hit. Unfortunately, it took paramedics 30 minutes to arrive at the scene, by which point Adam had succumbed to his wound.
Rest in peace.
Another life lost to members of cosmic intelligence. Yasmin, on the other hand, survived the ordeal and was quick to give up her traitorous accomplice, Crystal. The authorities later found the 36-year-old hiding at a nearby base camp where she and Yasmin had been living in tents. Crystal's 5-year-old child emerged from one of them, armed with a loaded shotgun.
What the fuck?
Thankfully, the authorities were able to disarm the boy without...
A 5-year-old with a loaded shotgun? What the
or
fuck?
further incident. While searching the area for evidence, officers encountered several more tents that belonged to other members of Cosmic Intelligence. After making a full recovery, Yasmin Hyder took a plea deal and received a 35-year sentence for ending Adam's life. In exchange, she testified against her co-conspirator, Crystal Pinkins. Despite not pulling the trigger herself, Crystal was determined to have been the mastermind behind the plot and was given a life sentence.
Ow! I is the other one that also given life sentence. I mean, this thing of like, you know, cooperating is bullshit. Like, she was the one who killed the guy. I mean, sure, she also should get a life sentence, but this is so reversed. She's only gonna get 35 years for killing the guy. She's not also getting the life sentence.
Despite Cosmic Intelligence now being linked to 2 slayings, there was nothing that directly implicated its leader, Rashad, and as such, he faced no further legal charges.
Of course. Scared to go there, yeah.
Behind bars,
I think everybody,
the University of Cosmic
I think anybody from not the US probably feels like that, yeah. Yeah. Sometimes you think, you know, it's overblown in the news, but sometimes you think maybe it's not. Sometimes you saw this stat, I saw the stat recently, and in terms of like how many guns is there per habitants in the US, and it's like, you know, there's like 2, 3, or 4 guns per habitants. Not saying that like every habitants own one, right? But the number of guns like in circulation would basically amount to like at least multiple per person, you know? Like there's multiple times more guns than literally like actual people in the US, which is insane to think about. Yeah, it's crazy.
Intelligence continues to live on, with all clips and new jailhouse recordings being posted to the group's YouTube channel, uploaded by one of Rashad's disciples. Being posted.
He's gotten so strong you can feel his aura. I miss you, man. I'm crying right now. I was vibrating high, then I fell into a low vibration. God, you touched my soul. What was vibrating? My goodness, I miss learning about myself and the universe. I can't even watch other spiritual teacher. I don't know what to say again. Like, you can say it's not these people's fault. Like, they've got mental issues, but like everybody in this comment section should literally be investigated and monitored closely to like make sure they don't do anything fucked up because they're insane. Like, I don't know. It really makes me feel like that reading these comments.
To the group's YouTube channel, uploaded by one of Rashad's disciples. Reading through some of the top comments, it's clear that he still has a zealous, growing fanbase. The internet has dramatically expanded the reach and influence of cults, making it easier than ever for them to attract and recruit new followers, especially when a growing number of people are now terminally online and yet desperate for connection. Through social media platforms, forums, and websites, prophets like Rashad can quickly disseminate their message to a global audience, often targeting vulnerable individuals seeking community or purpose. Algorithms that promote echo chambers only amplify their influence, and those who fall prey to the teachings of these influencer gurus often don't realize the dangers they're putting themselves in. In August 2023, at least 6 members of Cosmic Intelligence disappeared from St. Louis. They haven't been seen or heard from since.
Disappeared. Yeah. I mean, people often say like the internet was a mistake jokingly, but, you know, for all the good that it has brought, it's also brought so much bad, and it's hard to weight it, but sometimes, you know, you feel like, yeah, I mean, for example, like with cults, it's very likely that since, you know, the few decades of the internet has made so much more cults be able to work out than there's ever been in history or something. I don't know, because it's been so easy for people on the internet to form their cult, and then often the cult lead to bad stuff. I don't know the stats, but I'm gonna assume there's been more cult and madness like that done thanks to the internet than, you know, in the thousands of years before that. I don't know. Yeah. The kind of story that just makes you think about, yeah, I mean, you know, I could say it's a mistake, but sometimes it's not like the internet is gonna stop, and it's not like, you know, I could live without it kind of thing, but at the same time, sometimes, yeah. Yeah. But at the same time, like, these people clearly are just broken in the brain. So even if there wasn't the internet, you know, they'd find some way to, you know, to do something messed up, I guess, is what I can say. Like, a cult leader would have another time getting followers without the internet, but they'd still find a way. Alright. TV and now obsessed with YouTube.
While browsing the Internet
Mystery.
Mysteries subreddit, I stumbled upon a post asking about a suspicious TikTok account.
I always feel like, you know, the Reddit topic are like I didn't know what to put in, so I put a Reddit topic.
One whose owner has uploaded hundreds of bizarre videos over the span of a year and a half. Looking through them, you'll quickly notice some recurring themes. Buddhist iconography, photos of anonymous women, and ball-joint dolls arranged in strange positions.
Okay.
All of the videos are backed by surreal, avant-garde music
Sanest
created by the
Redditor.
account owner himself. But the most concerning thing to be found on the account are undoubtedly clips like these.
Is this like
Videos in
voyeurism?
which the account holder films unsuspecting women through their windows, either while their backs are turned or while they're asleep.
That's fucked up. We can see the guy's face too in the reflection.
Reddit had a field day with this one, drawing comparisons between this account and Mr. Sleepy People, the ex-YouTuber who went around licking the eyeballs of sleeping, or more likely sedated, friends and
That's what Mr. Sleepy People is. I was going to watch a video about that, yeah. From Nick Quaddy.
acquaintances. Many people do seem to get a kick out of filming unconscious people without their knowledge
Yeah.
or consent, and then sharing their
Leaky
video
eyeballs.
creations for other somnophiles to enjoy. And this account was certainly attracting some strange followers.
Is that dead
Others
wife?
have brought up the possibility of this being an elaborate ARG, or, more worryingly, the video diary of a wannabe serial killer. Indeed,
Just someone
many
insane,
of the
yeah.
videos are captioned with ominous messages, like, need to kill. However, you'll notice I haven't given out the name of the account holder, and that's because I personally don't think there's any mystery to solve here. I'm confident that the man behind the account is mentally unwell, and that the women
Yeah.
featured are friends and relatives.
Thanks, Captain Obvious.
Using subtle clues found in some of the videos, Reddit user Horseballs1998 was able to pinpoint the exact building that the account holder lives in.
You're not gonna give like the name of the fucking weirdo, like voyeur, but you're gonna give the name Horseball 1998. Alright.
An apartment complex on the outskirts of Tampere, Finland, designed for seniors aged 63 and up.
There were some videos where he films outside his window. You can see a sign to a university building. I don't want to dox him and say the exact place.
You should dox
As for
him.
the senior housing, I just googled his address and looked at a listing for an apartment in that building. You might need to know some Finnish for this if you want to research. I don't know if Google Translate is accurate. As to why he's doing this, my guess is Alzheimer's or some sort of disability.
Perhaps inspired by this discussion on Reddit, another user made a post on r/Internet Mysteries about a similar YouTube account. One which, in my opinion, is far more sinister. Ramad Yunus Alfian. On October 3rd of this year, user NoPay2356 posted the following.
Weird YouTube channel filming sleeping women through door. Her face is covered for some reason. On this channel, there are multiple strange videos and shorts showing a woman sleeping, and even another person laying next to her in one video.
Yeah.
The man seems to be filming through the keyhole of the door, and it seems
Keyhole.
like the woman is sensing his presence, considering her disturbed sleep and the fact that she wakes up multiple times. If anyone can find further information about this man, and possibly inform local authorities, I would greatly appreciate it.
As detailed by NoPay, Ramad Yunus Alfian is an Indonesian YouTuber with several POV videos on his channel, ones in which he secretly films a sleeping couple in the dead of night. Whether Ramad knows
That's
the
so
subjects or
creepy.
not is unclear, though the title of this particular video, Takang Kabul, translates to pervert in English, so it's safe to say
I mean, there must be like, I feel like in videos like this that compile different internet madness, there's so much like this. There's so much like little YouTube channel that have never been found, that have like 5 views per video or something, of deeply disturbing stuff like that. I feel like there's so many, yeah. Like, if there was a clear way to look for like barely any view YouTube channel, it would probably be easier to like find so many of this. And it's insane to think the kind of thing people post. I mean, clearly this is people with like voyeuristic fetish, which has always been a thing. But the fact that they just fucking post it to YouTube like it's a normal thing is just insane again. I mean, I don't I say insane too much in this video, but everybody's insane. I mean, Yeah.
that Ramad is well aware what he's doing is wrong. Even more worrying is that he's posted other videos of this same household to his account, which appear to have been filmed on separate nights, meaning he's repeatedly targeted this same couple on multiple occasions. In this instance, I think the connection to Mr. Sleepy People is far more apt, given that Ramad's account definitely revolves around somnophilia, an attraction to the unconscious. While it's unclear what drives this desire, it likely stems from a feeling of control or power over a vulnerable person.
Yeah.
In response to these videos, the Reddit community quickly mobilized to track Ramad down. Looking through some of his other videos, which include his work van, Reddit user Pocosi was able to narrow down
It's
that
sad
search.
for you?
Based on
Oh,
his
it's
other
very
videos,
cold.
I think he
It's
lives
like
in
7 degrees
Medan,
today.
North Sumatra, and he works as a locksmith. I tried to track down the phone number, and it belongs to someone named Martin, maybe his boss. It also reveals the address of his workplace. I'll see if I can report it to the authorities, but since I live on a different island, the best I can do is submit the information to the Cybercrime Police Department. Although,
Cybercrime.
knowing the Indonesian police, they probably won't take this case seriously.
Yeah.
Indeed, it's likely that Ramad knows he won't face any serious consequences, seeing how he's left his phone number in several video titles.
Really?
Unfortunately, the internet has given rise to a growing trend of people exploiting the sleeping, unsuspecting, and vulnerable. Non-consensual voyeurs have found...
Actually, in a way, maybe I would say this is a good thing. Like, in a sense of people have probably been doing that since before cameras, since before the internet. But now they're literally almost doxing themselves. Okay. 36 degrees sounds like, yeah. Sounds like, yeah, it's nighttime, yeah. That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. Maybe that's why, like, there's not too many people, yeah. Like, no one is feeling the Halloween vibe if it's hot. You know, most of my audience, I guess, is probably like in hotter climate. Yeah, I'm feeling the Halloween vibe with like how cold it is. I'm feeling the chills, but not everybody can relate. Fair enough. Yeah, as I was saying, again, like maybe it's a good thing that these people are doxing themselves by videotaping it, and there's some way to track them down. Compared to before, where some people would do stuff like this and literally not tell anyone, not let anyone know, and you know, they would get away with it way easier. You know, in a way, like the good thing about all those dumb people doing their crime, filming their crime, and sharing their crime on the internet is that it's easier to get them investigated and track them and get them arrested and stuff like that. Not that it happens every time, but for the most part, in a weird way, it's somewhat of a good thing. But at the same time, yeah, there's the idea of, you know, like creating a market through the internet for people to do it more, and so there's more people doing it because of it. It's a double-edged sword. I mean, it is what it is.
A home online, where people with these disturbing inclinations can find communities that normalize their behavior. In the past, individuals with such urges would have likely kept them hidden, fearing judgment or ostracism. Now,
Way too
online
comfortable.
forums and networks allow them to connect anonymously with one another, offering them shadowy spaces to trade videos and further validate their actions, to the point where some don't even bother to hide their identities at all.
Right, yeah.
And with such people out there, I can say one thing with certainty. I'll be keeping my curtains tightly closed at night from now on.
I mean, all I've learned from watching this guy's video is that I need to buy a ton of security cameras, I need to check every corner of my house, I need to buy a gun, I need to buy metal bars for my windows, a 10-time identification lock for my door. I need to have a bunch of guard dogs. What else would be nice? I need to have like a phone with a one-time button to call the cops. That's what I've learned. That's what I've learned. Insanity everywhere. Everywhere. Konami's Thrill Drive. Konami? The video game company?
An old video game has been the subject of a lot of online attention, but not because of any sense of renewed nostalgia, but rather because of some resurfaced childhood trauma. Forum users across the net began discussing memories of an old arcade racer that no longer seemed to exist. One which they described as a cross between a racing sim and Silent Hill, where the whole ambience just felt off in a
Nice timing as I'm streaming Silent Hill 2 tomorrow.
way that was hard to put into words.
Oh no, a game.
Thrill Drive. if you've never heard of it, don't worry, you're far from alone. Despite being one of the main inspirations for the Burnout series, Thrill Drive has since fallen into obscurity. Developed by Konami and published in 1998, Thrill Drive never made it to consoles, and as a result, isn't well known outside of Japan. In fact, according to the Konami wiki, all Thrill Drive arcade cabinets have since disappeared, and the game is believed to be lost.
Okay.
Well, at least in the wild. As its name implies, Thrill Drive was set on public roads around the world, and saw players racing through busy cities, avoiding civilians and oncoming traffic to reach the finish line. The less damage they racked up along the way, the more they would be rewarded at the end. The game was set across 3 stages, was said to grade players based on their reflexes, style and courage, and at first glance appeared to be your typical light-hearted racing fare a la the Cruisin' series. That is, except for the horror elements. And we're not talking supernatural, spooky horror, but rather unsettling, realistic horror. According to the Konami wiki, Thrill Drive came with 2 settings, mild and hard. This affected both the animations and on-screen text following a collision. Each cabinet was set to hard by default, so should the player crash, they'd be met with something like this. A jarring scream would suddenly ring out, along with the face of the driver, milliseconds before impact. Ambulance sirens would blare, and the player character would either slump dead in their seat or be tossed through their windshield, depending on the severity of the crash. A slow-motion replay would show the carnage unfolding, with the text, collision, serious accident, or fatal accident, filling the screen.
This is very cheesy.
Adding to the morbidity, with each crash, the race would reset, but the atmosphere would be slightly different each time, devolving from fun to morose to downright haunting. The colours would become less vibrant, the clouds more oppressive, and the music would shift from your typical racing soundtrack to something ripped straight from a horror movie. No doubt many unsuspecting kids inserted their coins into the cabinet, perhaps expecting to play something similar to Crazy Taxi, but left feeling like they'd purchased a front row ticket to a road safety PSA. And we all know how creepy those can be.
I mean, I guess for a 1998 game, I do agree that, you know, it looks kind of fun. Yeah, it does look pretty good. I do understand that, yeah, for 1998, I mean, reminder that at that time, early GTA game, right? Like the top-down view GTA game, so in comparison, like these animations of the deaths and everything, they're pretty advanced. And, you know, if you're a kid in the 90s playing this, I guess it might be traumatic. I could say that.
But here's the thing. Given that Thrill Drive was no longer available to play, and that all the descriptions of it sounded more like a creepypasta than an actual arcade game, many people who had never played it in their youth began to question whether this supposedly lost piece of physical media was actually unfiction. An obscure ARG designed to draw people in and creep them out. It wouldn't be the first time that game footage was used in such a project. That 90s PS1 N64 style is particularly common in unfiction projects, given that it's much easier to replicate compared to modern graphics. And many games from that era had a, well, uncanny aura, let's put it like that.
I guess.
For example, Sagan Hawks recently dropped a video about his search for a creepy 90s dinosaur game. It's a fun, immersive watch, a true love letter to unfiction projects. But crucially, it proves that with enough dedication and talent, creative people can produce convincing gameplay footage to accompany their narratives. So, despite a few MAME-emulated runs of Thrill Drive existing online, many people aware of the game's supposed existence began to question whether they were fake too, created by people playing an elaborate hoax on the gaming community. Indeed, it was so hard to track down that even those who had played it began to question themselves.
Gaslighting.
Could this be an example of a collective false memory? Perhaps a new example of the Mandela effect? Well, those concerns were put to rest 2 months ago, when user Ill Hedgehog made this post on the r/creepygaming subreddit. So this is a bit of a historical curiosity, and a game I hadn't heard of until I discovered it last week in the deserted kids club at an off-season golf resort in Australia. Why is it creepy? Thrill Drive is a racing game from 1998 that sets you out on the busy streets with civilian traffic and pedestrians, asks you to push the limits, and lets you see the consequences of your actions. If you crash too hard, your car is obliterated in ways that leave little to the imagination. The screen goes black, and
I guess some of us have pretty muddy memories.
Accident. Gran Turismo, this is not. But it's also not Grand Theft Auto, being goreless and actively discouraging bloodshed. It's somehow much more stressful, despite its lack of blood, taking every injury really seriously, and counting up the cost of damage you cause in a sort of reverse high score mechanic.
Okay.
This might make it sound like a kind of scoldy road safety ad, but it's not. It's actually super creepy. This is largely due to an interesting Silent Hill vibe, where each time you crash fatally, the screen fades to black, and then you get to restart, but the weather has become grimmer and darker. It's somber and eerie, and it gets worse each time. Eventually,
your usual
the whole
racing
world is
game.
a grey murk, with occasional lightning flashes. It's heavy. Interestingly, the Blue Mountains where I found this cabinet are also famous, or notorious, for their misty, cloudy, and eerie weather. Playing this, and then walking out into the multiple-day whiteout added an extra dimension to the experience, as did the many crows and magpies in the area. The cabinet art gives you a really good sense of what to expect vibes-wise.
Cool concept, yeah.
In terms of racing, I think it holds up. The handling is approachable and makes driving fun, even for non-racing people like me. I wanted to keep playing even after I spent $20 Aussie on credits, and I'm a responsible adult. According to the Konami wiki, these are believed to be lost in the wild, so I thought I'd post it here in case anyone has questions about it. If you're ever at Fairmount Resort in the Blue Mountains, don't pass up the chance to give it a go, especially if the clouds are low and the mist is deep and thick.
That is one hell of a game experience when you think about it, right? Because there is no ROM online, so like you can't emulate it, and there must be only like a few arcade cabinets with the game literally out there in the world. So if you actually happen upon one of them, you're probably like one of the only, like one of the literal like few people, like 10 people who might have played this game in the last 20 years. It's pretty interesting to think about, yeah. Like, you can't even find it online, so that would be something.
Well, there we have it. Thrill Drive is confirmed to be both real and still available to play in the outside world. Not exactly the darkest thing I've ever covered on this channel, but a fun little discovery nonetheless.
It's interesting, yeah.
One which, amidst all the grey and gloom of the game itself, gives many lost media enthusiasts hope. In Il Hedgehog's words, it actually made me really happy, just knowing there must be so many other presumed lost games out there.
Right, yeah. Yeah. I mean, most lost media, you could just call it like waiting to be found media. Most lost media is just lost for now, right? Okay, not very creepy, but interesting. Interesting. It's more like a little, mystery, I guess. Searching for Uncanny Danny. Oh boy.
This is Danny. Say hi, Danny. If you've sent or received a GIF in the past couple of months, you've probably seen her face pop up on your mobile device.
No,
Thing is,
I have not.
she only appeared recently, and yet seems to have paid everyone a welcome, or perhaps unwelcome visit in a short space of time, leaving many people wondering, who is this woman in these GIFs? Where do they come from? And why are they suddenly everywhere? Let's try and get to the bottom of this one. The main tool used to find and share GIFs is Giphy, the second largest search engine in the world in terms of total searches. It's what you use to find GIFs on WhatsApp, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and all the other main social networks really, so that's probably the best place to start our investigation. Heading over to Giphy.com, we can see that our mysterious friend is officially called Uncanny Danny, a fitting name. We can also see that her GIFs have racked up an impressive 1.8 billion views, confirming that she's not just being shared around by a small subculture of horror enthusiasts. Danny is indeed everywhere. Aside
I've
from
never
that,
seen her before.
There's little else to go on here. No links to her creators, no explanation about the purpose of the GIFs themselves, no information on why they were made, no backstory to the character, nothing really.
And there's so many
I dug a little deeper.
It has to be
I wanted to know how it was possible for a character with no known origin to consistently appear at the top of GIF searches. To figure that out, we need to know how Giphy's algorithm works. According to riseat7.com, when you upload a GIF to Giphy, you can add up to 10 hashtags to help people find it. Choosing relevant and commonly used tags will, logically, help your creation reach more people. GIFs with words typically rank higher than those without. It's clear that Danny's creator knew how to play the game, attaching her to commonly searched phrases in both English and Spanish, But simple searches like "go to sleep" and "I miss you" already have thousands of GIFs, and many more ordinary ones to choose from at that. The uncanny valley is something that appeals to me, and given the nature of this channel, probably most of you too.
Sure.
We'd probably all send these as some sort of dark joke and see the funny side. But in my experience, the average person doesn't appreciate things
Sometimes I
like
feel like I'm like, I'm like a boomer because I don't have a single GIF or like reaction image saved on my computer. I never use any. Like on Discord, the reaction image or GIF I use are one that are like directly saved on Discord. Yeah. Like I've always thought it would be nice for me to like gather some GIF and images, but I've never done it. Actually, maybe I've done it back in the day when I was on Facebook. I think I had some like anime reaction image that I would share to people. But yeah, these days I'm like, I don't have anything like that. I don't save any reaction image or anything. I've heard recently though, like YouTube is gonna try to kind of go back to the old way YouTube was, where like on a creator's channel, there's gonna be some kind of like, well, the community tab might be changed in a way where you can not only share posts, but maybe even image and stuff like that. So it's possible that it might see resurgence on YouTube and maybe partake in it. I guess we'll see where that goes. I've heard from YouTube recently.
this. So why did Dani suddenly dominate in such oversaturated search markets when her competition was already well established and, frankly, far more normal? The mystery surrounding these GIFs has given rise to rumor and conspiracy. The more cynical believe that Dani's a marketing tool, a way to drum up interest for an upcoming TV show or movie. A quick Google search of Uncanny Dani did lead me to this gentleman, Danny Robbins, an English broadcaster who has a paranormal investigation show called Uncanny. The name links up, and his hair is kind of similar to our Danny's, sure, though aside from that, there isn't much connecting the two. He's male, she's female, and none of the GIFs reference his show in any way. Other people have started giving Dani the creepypasta treatment, labeling her GIFs as cursed images and optic hazards. Once you've set eyes on Dani, she'll come pay you a good night visit in the near future. Well, a good 20% of the world is already doomed then. You lot included. Sorry guys.
And until today, I've never seen it,
there
so
are those
thanks.
who say that Dani is just a cool art project that caught on precisely because it's different, fun, and a little spooky. And having looked into her origin, I thankfully can confirm that to be the case.
Okay.
While chasing leads, I came across this Instagram post by Masquerade. Somehow the Uncanny Dani section of Giphy has 1.5 billion views. I guess the uncertainty and the purgatory of the stale, unsettling backrooms is feeling oddly relevant.
Okay.
Model at Very Human. Senior art/creative director at Parker S. Jackson.
Someone dig up the
Hair
original.
and makeup artist at Masquerade.
So it's not AI, okay.
Special thanks to the Giphy crew for bringing me on board for this one.
Another thing that makes me feel like a boomer is I keep calling everything AI when it's not. I can't tell what's AI or not anymore.
Would you follow Dani into the backrooms? Eureka. This one post, made by the shoot's hair and makeup artist, gave us all of the information we've been searching for.
Alright.
The model playing our favourite backrooms entity is Laura Drummerick,
Alright, she's actually
Very Human, an actor and creative performer
very
who's been in
beautiful,
some interesting
normal looking.
projects. The GIFs were commissioned by Giphy themselves and directed by California-based artist Parker S. Jackson. Checking out Mr. Jackson's Instagram page, I was pleasantly surprised to find some mind-blowing, blood-curdling artwork that he's created.
Damn.
I was pleasantly surprised to
I like that one. I love the uncanniness of like the art style that don't match, right? Like it's an old, painter paintings plus anime girl style. That's pretty great. I would have that as a painting, on my house.
find some mind-blowing, blood-curdling artwork that he's created.
He's got a
Everything
good
is just
style.
such a treat. I'm particularly fond of old Egbert here. Looking a bit deeper into Parker S. Jackson's work history, we can see that he was a concept artist for Jordan Peele's movie Nope, was the co-creator of the Found Footage Art Collective, and currently works as creative director at Giphy Studios. And that explains why the GIF was able to become so popular so quickly. So, Dani was the brainchild of a creative mind, and we can definitely say that her origin has been found. And still, her sudden prevalence has been a fun little anomaly, and it's nice seeing all the myths and backstories people have been sharing around about Dani's sudden infamy. And now that we know she's from the backrooms, hopefully we can get some more official, or maybe even unofficial lore. And if not, Well, I'm sure many of us will be seeing Danny in our dreams later anyway.
Nah, it's fine. I saw the original model, so it's fine. Okay, the answer is actually not that great. I mean, in a sense, it's better than a fucked up answer, but the answer is basically that, this might not be a very genuine kind of blow off of a GIF. Like, someone literally working at Jiffy, making this happen, maybe even pushing it algorithmically, we don't really know. That kind of kills the authenticity of this a little bit. Who knows what behind the scenes stuff they did to just push this GIF as something popular. But nonetheless, okay. It's nice to have an answer. As always, I like the stories of like tracking an answer on an internet thing, I guess. Okay, well, that's the end of this one. Well, some of those were pretty messed up, like the cult one, and then yeah, pretty, like a lot more like a lot less messed up the last few one, which I guess I like the contrast, something really messed up and something a little bit lighter to, to lighten the mood, I guess. But yeah, I guess now I've watched all the episode of the disturbing things I found on the internet by Lazy Masquerade.